The forest burned behind them. Nick stumbled through the wreckage of what used to be a peaceful hiking trail, his medical kit bouncing against his hip. The escape pod had torn through the canopy like a meteor, leaving a scar of splintered trees and scorched earth. Smoke choked the air, and somewhere in the distance sirens wailed as emergency services scrambled to respond. He should have run the other way. Every survival instinct screamed at him to flee, to let the authorities handle whatever extraterrestrial nightmare had just crashed into the Colorado wilderness. But Nick had been a field medic in another life, and old habits died hard. The pod's hull had split open like a cracked egg, revealing architecture that hurt to look at, angles that shouldn't exist, metals that seemed to drink in light rather than reflect it. And there, sprawled in the center of the wreckage, was her. She was humanoid, but only in the way a tiger resembles a house cat. Her skin shimmered with bioluminescent patterns that pulsed weakly, fading from brilliant azure to sickly gray. 4 arms lay twisted at unnatural angles, and crystalline protrusions along her spine had shattered, leaking something that glowed like liquid starlight. Her face, elegant and alien, contorted in silent agony. "Jesus," Nick whispered, dropping to his knees beside her. Okay, I've got you." Her eyes snapped open, 3 of them arranged in a triangular pattern across her forehead. They focused on him with predatory intensity, and for a moment he felt the weight of an intelligence so vast it made him feel like an insect under a microscope. Then she tried to speak, and blood or something like it bubbled from her lips. "Don't talk," Nick said, hands already moving with practiced efficiency. He didn't know alien anatomy, but trauma was trauma. Stop the bleeding, stabilize, improvise. "I'm going to help you." She made a sound like breaking glass, her 3 eyes widening. One of her hands, the only arm that seemed unbroken, shot out and grabbed his wrist with desperate strength. Her grip could have crushed steel, but she held him with unexpected gentleness, as if he were made of paper. "It's okay," he murmured, the same tone he'd used on wounded soldiers in field hospitals half a world away. "I know you're scared, but I'm not going to hurt you." The alien's grip loosened slightly. Something shifted in those alien eyes, surprise perhaps, or disbelief. Nick worked quickly, using his medical supplies in ways they were never intended. Compression bandages became makeshift splints. Antiseptic spray hissed against wounds that sizzled and smoked. He jerry-rigged an IV line, praying that human saline wouldn't poison her, and elevated her legs. All 4 of them, after a moment's hesitation, to counter what he hoped was shock. "You're going to be fine," he lied, because that's what medics did. "Just stay with me." The alien watched him work with unblinking intensity. Her bioluminescent patterns began to stabilize, pulsing in rhythm with his movements. When he accidentally brushed against one of her broken spinal protrusions and she flinched, he immediately pulled back. Sorry, he muttered. "I'll be more careful." She made another sound, softer this time, almost wondering. Somewhere overhead, military helicopters thundered past. Nick ignored them, focused entirely on the dying creature before him. He'd seen enough death to recognize it approaching, seen enough soldiers slip away despite his best efforts. Not this time, not if he could help it. He didn't know why that mattered so much. Maybe it was the way she looked at him, as if seeing something she'd never expected to find. Maybe it was the bone-deep exhaustion of a man who'd spent too many years failing to save people, desperate for just one more success. Or maybe it was simply because she was hurt and he could help and nothing else mattered. "There," Nick said finally, sitting back on his heels. His hands were covered in glowing ichor, his medical kit empty. "That's all I can do. The professionals should be here soon. They'll have better equipment, actual xenobiologists." The alien's hand found his again. This time her grip was firm but gentle, deliberate. She turned his hand palm up and pressed something into it. A crystalline shard from her broken spines, still warm and pulsing with internal light. Her 3 eyes met his, and though she couldn't speak, he understood. "Thank you." "You're welcome," Nick said softly. He didn't know that the woman before him was Empress Kiza Vorthalin, Supreme Commander of the 7th Imperial Fleet and undefeated champion of 300 campaigns. He didn't know that her species, the Varani, considered physical contact with lesser beings a profound taboo, a contamination of their warrior purity. He didn't know that by touching her, by choosing to save her despite his fear, he had done something no being in the galaxy had dared to do in 1,000 years. He didn't know that among the Vorani there was an ancient law, A life debt could only be repaid with absolute loyalty, and a warrior who accepted aid from another became bound to them until death. He didn't know that he had just earned the eternal devotion of the most dangerous being in known space. He didn't know any of that. He just knew that she was hurt and he could help, and that was enough. When the military arrived 15 minutes later, weapons trained and protocols engaged, they found the human medic sitting calmly beside the alien Empress, holding her hand, talking to her in soft, reassuring tones about nothing important, about the weather, about the forest, about his cat back home who always knew when he was sad, and Kiza, who had conquered worlds and shattered armies, who had never known fear or mercy or tenderness, listened to every word as if they were scripture. The galaxy would never be the same. But Nick wouldn't know that until much later, when the stars themselves learned to fear the human who had earned an Empress's love with nothing more than kindness, because that's what humans did. They helped, even when they didn't have to, even when it was dangerous, even when the universe itself said it was impossible. They helped, and sometimes that changed everything.